News channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good evening, I'm Alex Armstrong, and this is Alex Armstrong Tonight, late edition on the show.
It'll happen. We need that for international security, not just security, international. We have a lot of our favorite players, cruising around the coast, and we have to be careful. We have a couple of bases on Greenland already, and we have quite a few soldiers, and maybe you'll see more and more soldiers go there. I don't know.
Well, the Danish Prime Minister tells Donald Trump to stop threats against Greenland. And splashing on the front page of The Telegraph, Trump sets sights on Greenland. Meanwhile,
We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition.
but the US Secretary of State has urged the US is not at war with Venezuela. Plus, on the front page of The Sun, AJ's pledge to families of brothers as the British boxer issues his first public statement following that fatal crash in Nigeria. And I'll be telling you which paper reckons the Prime Minister could be facing a revolt over what they call Labour Maduro apologists. It's been an evening of GB News Titans, hasn't it? And it doesn't stop here. Dr. Lisa McKenzie staying with me for this hour, as well as former Labour advisor Matthew Torbett. And we've got GB News contributor and all-time favourite Paul Cox. But first, before we get cracking, and it's going to be a show, we're going to get your news with Aaron Armstrong.
Thanks, Alex. Good evening to you. Just after 11 o'clock. Our headlines. Donald Trump says Venezuela's interim leader could face a fate worse than that of deposed President Nicolas Maduro, unless she complies with his wishes. Mr. Maduro and First Lady Celia Flores were captured and detained on drugs and weapons charges after a military operation yesterday. They're due in court tomorrow. Venezuela has denounced the military aggression, and its army says it backs Ms. Rodriguez. It contradicts President Trump's claim that the US will now run the country until a proper transition takes place. Meanwhile, the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio insists the intervention does not mean the US is at war with Venezuela and says the Trump administration did not need congressional approval.
It wasn't necessary because this was not an invasion. We didn't occupy a country. This was an arrest operation. This was a law enforcement operation. He was arrested on the ground in Venezuela by FBI agents, read his rights, and removed from the country. Obviously, this was not a friendly territory. So in order to arrest him, we had to ask the Department of War to become involved in this operation. The Department of War went in, they hit anything that was a threat to the agents that were going in to arrest him, and they hit anything that was a threat on the way out, and they hit anything that was a threat to them while they were on the ground. And that was a very limited and targeted operation.
Meanwhile, the Danish Prime Minister's urged Donald Trump to stop threatening to take over Greenland after he reiterated his wish to acquire it. Mette Frederiksen says it makes absolutely no sense and the US has no right to annex any of the 3 nations in the Danish kingdom. Mr. Trump earlier told The Atlantic magazine, "We do need Greenland, absolutely. We need it for defence." Mr. Trump has repeatedly advocated for the self-governing Danish territory to become part of the US because of its mineral wealth and strategic location. Sir Keir Starmer says the UK is prepared to align even more closely with the EU single market if it's in the nation's interest. The Prime Minister insisted Britain should go further in strengthening post-Brexit ties with Brussels following a trade deal agreed earlier this year. But he appeared to dismiss suggestions the UK should rejoin a customs union with the bloc after Health Secretary Wes Streeting said the arrangement had enormous economic benefits. A man who died in the sea off the East Yorkshire coast on Friday was trying to help a mother and her teenage daughter. Police have confirmed 45-year-old Sarah Keeling and 15-year-old daughter Grace were involved in a tragic incident alongside 67-year-old Mark Ratcliffe, who entered the water to help them. And the bodies of Ms Keeling and Mr Ratcliffe were recovered on Friday. Searches to locate Grace are still ongoing. Mr Ratcliffe's family have paid tribute, saying he was a selfless hero with a heart of gold who was cruelly taken trying to save others. And we're being told to expect travel disruption tomorrow as people return to work and school over the Christmas break. Amber warnings for more snow in northern Scotland. So there could be more scenes like this in Aberdeen. Up to 30 centimetres have been forecast for higher ground. And fresh snowfalls are also possible across England and Wales this week, despite temperatures getting a little warmer. That's your headlines. Now it's over to Alex.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB Digital Radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Well, look, let's go through your papers together first and then we'll get stuck into them. The Telegraph, Trump sets sights on Greenland. And The Independent, we are not at war, the US insists as it claims control of Venezuela. The Metro, welcome to New York and have a nice stay. iPaper, Starmer plots course for a softer Brexit as leadership rivals circle. The Times, Trump issues warning to Venezuela's new leader. The Mail, PM faces revolt by Labour's Maduro apologists. The Guardian, Trump warns of big price to pay if Caracas fails to toe the line. Mirror, Jesse's twins' agony. Express, fears Starmer is plotting a full-blown Brexit betrayal. The Sun, AJ's pledge to families of brothers. And leading the GBNews.com website tonight, mother and teenage daughter named as victims of sea tragedy after man died trying to save them. Donald Trump set sight on Greenland as Denmark fires back with Stop the Threats demand. And Stop Reform plotters warned plans to block Nigel Farage's March to Number 10 face 3 huge problems. All right, well, I've got another top panel with me tonight. Author and academic Dr. Lisa Mackenzie staying with me, former Labour advisor Matthew Torbett, and comedian and GB News contributor Paul Cox. Hello, Paul. Matthew, welcome. Thanks for joining me this evening. Should we start with Greenland?
Yeah, that's why not. Well, we're not going to invade, are we?
Oh, why not?
Let's do it.
Should we?
By the way, can I just
Everyone
say,
else seems to be at it. You know?
Nearly I'm in my 4th year at GB News now. That's the first time we've ever read out the website front page.
Yeah.
Why have we never done that before?
Well, I've been doing it on this show for months now, actually.
Have you?
Yeah.
Why have I not noticed?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a you problem, Paul.
Yeah, I think it is.
Right, it's a good thing, isn't it?
I think it's a great thing. That was my point.
If you haven't gone on to gbnews.com before, here is your sign to do it. Go and check it out. It's a brilliant website. It's news you won't read in other parts of the internet either. But Paul, what do you think of Greenland? What do you think? Trump going to take that next?
So look. Trump's a conviction politician, and I don't mean that he's been in trouble with the law. What I mean is he is an unusual beast in the political landscape in which he says lots of outlandish things, but he tends to mean most of them, and he tends to deliver on at least some of them, which is unusual. the whole Make America Great Again relies on America being an economic power and a superpower. And in order for him to do that, Venezuelan oil really helps. And strategically, so does Greenland. Greenland sits halfway between the States and Europe. Should there be a continuation of the Earth warming up, the Arctic gets smaller, it comes right into play. It's a protection against Russia. It's also got offshore oil, onshore minerals, uranium. It's strategically and a very important place for Donald Trump. He doesn't believe, it's not for sale, I'm aware, and I'm sure the people, and I believe the statistics show this, the people of Greenland don't want it to be sold to Donald Trump. But Donald Trump's not happy with Denmark and the way they're running it, and he wants it. So I'm sure he does set his sights on Greenland. It wouldn't surprise me. He's got another 3 to 4 years left, and I think he's got some very strategic plans up his sleeve, whether we like them or not.
Yeah, Matthew, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because, of course, there's the other big story here is Venezuela, which Trump has, I've got to say, I mean, taking all the politics out of it, an incredible operation, 6.5 minutes, reports are saying it took them to get in and get Maduro. That is quite something. I think I spend sometimes longer talking to you on this camera than it's taken, well, I know I do, than it took for them to extract former President Maduro. Do you think Greenland would be a good call for the Danish to at least come to some sort of agreement with Trump on, or is it actually just completely should be off the cards?
No, this is bully boy tactics. You can take the politics out of it, but the politics will always be in it, unfortunately. You know, that is what the American military is absolutely excellent at, these sending people in, covert operations, in and out. We saw it with Bin Laden, we've seen it with others. And when it comes to regime change, the first day of an American regime change is always the most impressive. What we've always seen afterwards is not so much. And I would challenge anybody to find me a regime change that the US have taken part in that has worked well.
Lisa, what do you think? Do you think, listen, I have to say, I think Maduro was exceptionally evil. I think he was brutal. There's reports of torture. He let people starve. The GDP per capita absolutely collapsed under his socialist rule. By all intents, he was a nasty piece of work. And actually, the drugs that flooded into America as a result of his rule also killed hundreds of thousands of people. At least that's what the American government says. I'm not sad he's gone. I do want the Venezuelans to be able to run their own country.
I think that's, I mean, we live in interesting times, at least we can say that we, you know, everything is very interesting at the moment. But again, you know, I am from the people of the people. So for me, it's what the Venezuelan people want, in the same as it is with Iran. What do they want? And also in Greenland as well. And I said this earlier, but I know that in Greenland, this is not a clear-cut mad sort of Donald Trump story as you think. This has been sort of floated for a long time, and by different presidents as well. And also, you know, the people of Greenland has sort of complained a bit about the Danish before. So what I'm more interested in is listening to the people. So in Venezuela, I believe that people have been celebrating today. I'm not sure what's going to happen from today. I also know the way that the left see Venezuela, which is they see it as sort of some sacred cow. Because they do see it as a sacred... Yes, they do.
It's that beating heart of socialism, isn't it? I mean, he ran on a socialist ticket. He lost massively, refused to leave. It is the unfortunate trend of all socialists, massively, so when I mean socialists, I mean true socialists, who end up becoming dictators.
He wasn't. I mean, you can't be, you know, being a socialist and being a dictator.
No, I mean, he's far more akin to the communist types we've seen evolved in the Eastern European states, you know, the Baltics and places like that. But this is the story. It always ends with these people never letting go. And I do think that the US government are right to call him a narco-terrorist.
Well, there's been a fair amount of fanboying from the far left with regards to Maduro, and it does, for me, it brings to light a real concern. I mean, I'm a free speech advocate. I believe that we should have all shapes and sizes in our parliament. We must have all shapes and sizes, different political persuasions within our parliament. But I'm very uncomfortable when I see the fanboying of somebody like that. It is an authoritarian bent of socialism, but probably more communism, leaning towards fascism.
He's definitely not an anarchist, though, because if
you don't want to lay claim to him, Lisa.
If he was an anarchist, he'd abolish himself.
Well, that's a good point. Maybe Trump's an anarchist. Who knows? Listen, I'm just kidding. Let's have a look at this video here of Donald Trump.
Well, a lot of things could be done. I mean, essentially, it's a large real estate deal. And strategically for the United States, it would be nice.
A large real estate deal with the United States, Matthew, sounds like a great idea. What do you think?
I'm sure it does, and this is what this is all this is about. It is about Donald Trump enriching him and himself, his family.
I mean, he's not going to get. Surely he wouldn't get.
Why else, at the moment, would the United States be entering into talks with the Russians with regards to Ukraine? And in those meetings would be the head of the Russian Sovereign Wealth Fund. What right has he got with the president's son-in-law and former investment partner? Is that because actually we can carve up Ukraine?
Yes.
And we can do some deals in hotels and all sorts afterwards?
Well, I certainly agree with you on that one. But the thing is, right, this is the reality. And my political philosophy is realism. I like to live as the way I believe humans behave, rather than the ideology that I'd like them to behave. I would. In an ideal world, I'd have us all to be in peace and never to kill each other. That would be lovely, wouldn't it? But it's not real humanity. I believe when we go to war, we get spoils of that war. It has been the same way over history for millennia. I'm sure it was for the tribes of the first humans in the parts of the tropical parts of the Sahara back in the day in Africa, right? But there's always got to be victors in war. And the United States has put billions of pounds. Zelensky wanted that money. He took that money on behalf of the Ukrainian people, and the same we've done it deals with him too. So if you're going to want the support of America, it comes at a cost. Is that not realistic, Matthew? Is that not how the world works?
I don't know. I believe in solidarity. Maybe I'm old school. I think actually we have to be wary of Vladimir Putin ourselves. I think we have to worry about the breakup of the EU, which is quite clearly on the horizon in many cases, the breakup of things like NATO, whether America is a responsible ally. And I think, war happens, I agree, and there are victors. I'm concerned about the precedent it sets. What is to stop Vladimir Putin going, sound, we'll go and pick Zelensky up in a helicopter now then? If this is how we're doing it, we don't have a rules-based order, what's the point? Let's just crack on. There's no guardrails. I don't think there are rules at the moment. Across the world, I think it is do what you want.
I guess that's kind of the problem. This whole holy grail of international law doesn't exist. And when countries decide, like China, Tibet, we're talking about places in Venezuela with Maduro, who wouldn't leave office. The international rules don't apply. They only seem to apply to Western countries who sort of follow along with it. Oh, we love international law.
No,
doesn't really matter.
Listen, I'm not one of these wide-eyed lefties that goes, that's great. Maduro, I don't think was legitimate. Anyone that witnessed the election knows that he didn't win. And, that's for people to be dealt with. But we fought 2 world wars, right? And people fought 2 world wars. And what happened after those wars is it was so horrific and the lives that were lost were so great that we decided we were going to have rules.
Yes.
And now my concern is that more and more people are dying that were involved in those wars, that lived through those wars and fought in those wars, that we are going to forget what we created and we're going to roll back those
But the thing is, it wasn't those rules, Matthew, that stopped the wars. It was a superpower that stopped the continuation of war. It was America that stopped the continuation of that. And the international rules-based laws haven't existed for America for a very long time. We've got to look at Vietnam. You've got to look at Iraq, Afghanistan. Obama dropped tens of thousands of bombs on places like Syria in the Middle East. It hasn't existed for a long time. Trump is just not hiding it. And he's honest. That's what I like about it. At least it's refreshing. You know where you stand with the point.
It is a myth that somehow that 1945, war stopped, because there's been hundreds and hundreds of wars ever since, and millions of people killed in war ever since. So, the idea that there's some international rules that people sit in a room and discuss and debate, it doesn't.
No, it ended empire.
But Paul, I
don't
bring Paul into this.
And say we're running them anymore.
I just want to bring Paul in, because you've been sitting there very, very silently. What do you think? Do you think this international rules thing actually matters?
No, it doesn't matter. Whether it should or not, I think, is a different discussion.
Yes.
But no, it doesn't matter, because, as you've rightly pointed out, everyone's actually operating in a silo. Matthew talks about solidarity, which is a key part of left progressive liberal politics, which doesn't really exist. Because when it comes down to it, it's each for their own, and it's sovereignty over solidarity. What I've seen. I mean, let's not get this wrong. World War I and World War II were massive because the superpowers were involved. What we saw as part of World War I, and especially World War II, is the transition of superpower from the United Kingdom's empire to the new superpower, which was the United States of America. They remain the superpower right now. You've got China sat in the wings, and as ever, you've got Russia sitting there watching what's going on. And they will go with whoever is likely to become the next superpower. Now, what Trump is recognising as a businessman, whether we like him or not, is that there are acquisitions to make around the world which will protect America's future against some of those advances.
Yeah, I just don't believe we've ever had these international laws. I don't think they actually exist. I think they apply to some of us, not all of us. And rules that only apply to some, Lisa, don't have any place, in my opinion, as actually being rules in the first place. That's what you call two-tier rules.
Yeah, well, I'm an anarchist.
We've seen how that goes.
I'm an anarchist. I don't like rules.
Let's put her in charge of American foreign policy.
Yeah, I'm not very good with rules, and also, in order to have rules, everybody's got to understand why the rule is there.
And everyone's got to abide by that, and there's got to be consequences for breaking rules, and there isn't consequences for breaking international rules.
No, and I think...
Someone tell Keir Starmer over Chagos, please.
And I think when you've got countries where elections are not, you know, where elections are faked, where there's no election, it kind of... And then we start talking about these are democratic countries and we shouldn't be, you know, going over into their territory. You know, it makes a mockery, really, of the whole idea. And it's interesting that in Britain, people are sitting here talking about, you know, international rules, while, you know, the president sort of didn't win an election and said, I'm staying anyway.
Well, international rules, in my opinion, as I said, only apply to some countries that aren't superpowers, and therefore what we have done is so stringently abide by international law. We've given up the Chagos Islands to a country that never, ever even owns them, right? So we've given away that strategic sovereign territory and we're paying them for the privilege of it. That's the kind of insanity that comes when you become a weak nation that's guided by good ideas, solidarity with international law, but actually the reality is we've handed Chagos Islands to one of our biggest partner of one of our biggest enemies, China. That's going to play massively into their hands, and it will be weaker. We will be weaker as a result of it. That's my opinion on all of this stuff. Anyway, look, we're going to talk more and more about this because apparently the Prime Minister is facing a revolt by Labour MPs over Maduro apologists. But before we get to that, time now for a Great British giveaway. 85 grand to be won. Hayley Sparks has got all the details.
It's a brand new year and we're giving you the chance to win our biggest cash prize to date.
£85,000 in tax-free cash to make your new year the best yet.
And we've come to the Aurora Collection Resort here in Lapland to celebrate.
Imagine what the coming year could look like for you with a whopping £85,000 in the bank.
You can have the complete Lapland experience all in one place by visiting the Northern Lights Village.
Or just safe in the knowledge that this year is on us.
An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours.
For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck to all of you watching at home. Coming up, I'll be digging into some of the juiciest headlines with former editor of The Express, David Wooding. This is Alex Armstrong Tonight, Late Edition.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk then? No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
It appears seem to need
more time to do that?
They definitely do. I mean, I think this country is becoming so ageist, it's not true. We're all being taxed, and when you think of the years and years we've all paid taxes, and, now they're having another go at us. They're taxing our pensions and everything that we might have saved for that rainy day. Certainly, when crossing a road, it is, if you are, I've got a bad knee, you've got a bad knee over there. We have problems. You have a few problems, Eamon.
About everything.
Yeah, but when you get across the road, you're frightened. I'm frightened of falling, because I think that's one of the major things of old people. They're terrified. I've had 2 friends in the last fortnight fall very badly, and they're in hospital. And and then you suddenly get this beep, 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 beep on a crossing, and you panic a bit, and the cars are coming, and bicycles are suddenly there. It's all.
Are people generally not very patient then? Because if there's an old lady or an old man crossing the road in front of me, I'd always stop.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And if you're in a wheelchair, they probably run you over more. I mean, it's a terrible situation.
I mean, it's not so much pedestrian crossings, right? It's the ones where it's lights. When Christopher quite right says about the beep 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 is so you have, and suddenly it says 10 seconds, 9 seconds.
The countdown's stressful.
Yeah,
and can imagine it would be stressful
It
for
is
elderly
trying to yes. I have to trying to drag my leg across the road.
GB News, the People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back, everybody. Well, joining me now is David Wooding, the former editor at the Sunday Express and a good friend of the show. David, pleasure to have you on the late edition as ever. Front page of the Telegraph's quite spicy tonight, David. What do you make of Trump setting his sights on Greenland?
Well, yes, that's what he's saying. They've got to have Greenland, strategic place, and also the minerals wealth there. And of course, that's the problem. The other problem he's got is his own troops angry with him about invading, as it were, Venezuela to topple the president there. So there's quite a number of different ways of looking at this, but they've gone for the Greenland story, because they're saying that after the incident of going into Venezuela, he's now saying we have to have Greenland. That is next on his list. Now, that's a big problem in Europe, because Greenland, of course, is owned by Denmark and the European Union, and, of course, Great Britain are sort of losing their sleep, wondering how they're going to deal with this one, because Trump clearly wants his hands on that place.
This is causing a right nightmare for European leaders. I mean, the Venezuelan stuff yesterday, David, cracked me up, because the Prime Minister clearly was waiting, and he was giving that interview to the BBC, I think, and was clearly waiting to get his talking points aligned with other European leaders before he said anything. This is kind of the problem, isn't it? Europe is a collection of nations. It doesn't really have strong leadership in the sense that even Ursula von der Leyen can't speak on behalf of other EU states. Therefore, the president can play a bit of ping pong with them on this issue, couldn't he?
Absolutely, and you'd think they'd all be uniting behind Greenland and Denmark in that sense, but at the same time trying to keep the president of the United States on side. I mean, if you look at the front of the Daily Mail tomorrow as well, I mean, they have 3 different columnists there arguing different things. One saying that it's terrifying, another one saying that if only Starmer had the bottle and the nerve to do something as show such leadership as been shown by Donald Trump. And then you've got somebody else saying, well, this is going to send a message out to the world's dictators like Putin that it's all right to go invading other countries. So this is also the problem for Keir Starmer, the man who always, as a lawyer himself, telling us how he abides and would die in a ditch for international law. And of course, when he's asked whether international law has been broken today, he says, well, we need a bit of time to digest all the facts and get all the details now. Of course, having been bitten last week by the freedom of El Fattah, the Egyptian hate monger, he's been a little bit wary about jumping in on this one very quickly.
Yeah, certainly. Well, let's bring up the front page of the Daily Mail, shall we? Because this is a very interesting story. Those three alternative opinions that there, I think, reflect actually most people around the world. We've all got different thoughts and feelings about this. I think Venezuelans would pretty much fall into Richard Littlejohn's category there about ruthlessness and actually taking some action, was where others here, the establishment, perhaps would be very happy for the rules-based order to continue to exist. What do you make of this story, though, David? The Prime Minister's facing a revolt by Labour's Maduro apologists.
Yes. The interesting thing here, Alex, is that most people are forming an opinion on this. We've talked before about the polarisation of politics in this country. We've seen it over Brexit. That sort of kicked it off. And social media has exacerbated this problem. And I think most people are forming their opinions on this, the invasion of Venezuela and the toppling of their president, on whether they like Donald Trump or not. If you like Donald Trump and you're a little bit to the right of politics, you say, well, this bloke was a dangerous communist, a vile man. It's quite right that he's been toppled. But if you hate Trump, you cling on to the international law argument and say, well, he shouldn't be doing this. How can we tell Putin not to invade Ukraine and to get his troops out there when he can just come out now and say, well, you're doing it, Donald Trump, you're doing the same thing as me. And I think the polarisation of the argument is hitting Keir Starmer particularly hard because he has lots of left-wing MPs on his backbenches. And the likes of Diane Abbott will probably be among the people in this Daily Mail argument. And don't forget that Jeremy Corbyn, when he was leader 2017 to 2019, he modelled his socialist programme on the predecessor of Maduro, Hugo Chavez. And so, of course, we will expect people on the far left of the Labour Party to say, well, come on, Keir, let's have you condemning Donald Trump over this.
Indeed. Well, I've got Matthew Talbot here with me. He'd like to ask you a question on the back of this story. Matthew, I'll hand it over to you.
David, I was just wondering, I'm just looking at the front page of the Mail. If you had a column tomorrow, which of these three would you be writing? Because in fairness, I think all three have got a point. I think there's something to be said about having a leader that has belief in his convictions and is courageous in doing so with regards to ruthlessness. I think it should terrify Greenland, who may or may not end up with boots on the ground and American troops and American taxpayers paying for them. And also, it may well embolden the world's bullies when we're looking at China and Russia and a precedent being set. Where do you fall on this?
Well, I actually, you put me on the spot there, but what I just said would probably make a good column. That people are formulating their views on whether or not they like Donald Trump. Most people are not digging into this and working out whether it was the right or the wrong thing to do. The other aspect we haven't even discussed here in this little last few minutes is that it's the oil. There's a grab for oil there as well by Donald Trump. He's already talking about getting his American firms in there to mine that oil, and it's a big. It's the world's biggest, sitting on the world's biggest oil field, of course. So yes, I think that's what I'd go for. I'd just let the facts speak for themselves. To be honest, the problem he's got is that he's left the deputy prime minister or the deputy leader in charge when there was an election a few years ago, and the person who won that election lawfully should have been put in. But you open a whole can of worms when you just remove a leader like that, because you've created a power vacuum. And this could be another element of a column that. What next? They've toppled the president, but the people who are in charge are all his henchmen and women. And how are they going to toe the line? Now, I know there's a story tomorrow saying that Trump has told the interim leader that she must do what he says, otherwise there will be trouble ahead. But, you know, the same regime is still running the company. It's a bit like if you got rid of Keir Starmer, another issue we've been talking about. Who's going to go in there? Ed Miliband? Angela Rayner? Somebody with a similar sort of programme of power?
Yeah, well, let's bring in Paul. Paul, what do you make of the? What have you got a question for David? What do you make of it all?
First of all, hi, David. Happy New Year. Always good to hear your opinion on things. Look, Donald Trump is the superpower, is the leader of the superpower on Earth at the moment. So whether we like him or not, that's how it's going to be until 2029, at least. Given that Starmer's so unpopular and quite clearly sits outside the circle of trust when it comes to Donald Trump and the United States, do you see Keir Starmer seeing out 2026 as Prime Minister of the UK?
No, probably not. And I don't think it'll all be about Donald Trump. That's going to play into it, and that's given his enemies an extra reason to circle around him. I think the big problem for Keir Starmer is that he is very unpopular. He's tanking in the polls. His rating is minus 66, which is lower than when Tony Blair was, I think, about minus 44 immediately after the Iraq invasion. So he's the most unpopular prime minister for some time. Since records began, in fact, after the war. So I can't see him surviving because of that. And of course, the other issue we've got is this Brexit story, trying to align ourselves closer to the single market. I mean, this is creating all sorts of problems in the Labour Party, because you've got those who are saying that, well, you shouldn't be saying this. We don't want you to do this. You're betraying Brexit. And you've got an even bigger lot who are saying, we want you to go into the customs union, which, of course, he has ruled out. So he's got problems on so many fronts now.
And just, Lisa's got a question, briefly, both, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, just, David, we live in interesting times, and I know that you've been, reporting on this for many years. Is this really an unusual period of time to be alive? Or is it just that we've got rolling news?
Well, it definitely is. I think it's one of the most dangerous times for the world at the moment. I mean, we've got the rise of China, we've got Putin invading another country, and we've got Donald Trump in the United States. And then throughout Europe, we've got fracturing of different regimes, different countries. It just is a very, very busy period of time. It's difficult being an editor as well at the moment, because there are so many stories. You've only got one front page. I think we should all go broadsheet again, so we've got more than one front page story.
That would be nice. That would be nice. I mean, yesterday, David, you should have seen it. All of it was the front page of all the papers this morning were Venezuela. So there's not much to go on when you're, of course, trying to make news and trying to give a good show to all of you lot at home. But there's plenty to talk about tonight. David Wooding, thank you so much for joining me. An absolute legend of Fleet Street there. Coming up, let employees work from home in the snow, unions say. So as the UK prepares to get back to work after Christmas, weather warnings have been issued across the country for snow and ice. Are you going to be staying at home? This is Alex Armstrong Tonight, late edition.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there. Temperatures above average across parts of Greece at the moment, but still some heavy showers and thunderstorms across parts of Spain. Also down towards the Canary Islands, Madeira, seeing some strong winds and showery rain too. Rain falling as snow over the mountains across parts of Spain, across into Italy as well. Further rain here around the coast. Temperatures around 12 or 13 Celsius. Something a little drier towards Greece there, and temperatures above average, and it remains so here for the next few days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast, and it's staying cold over the next few days. Very cold tonight with widespread frost and ice and further snow in places as well. A cold northerly flow across the UK Arctic air, bringing in that bitter weather across much of the UK. For this evening, temperatures already below freezing for many of us. Heavy snow showers across northern parts of Scotland and amber Met Office warning for snow here. We could see another 20 to 30 centimetres falling through the night into tomorrow morning. Elsewhere, icy stretches, wintry showers and temperatures falling down to -5, -6 in towns and cities, perhaps even down to -10 in one or two spots in the countryside. So widespread cold start to Monday morning. A difficult commute for those setting off across northern parts of Scotland with that amber warning in force. Heavy snowfall, some strong winds as well, drifting that snow around. The central belt brighter, but a cold, icy start. Wintry showers for Northern Ireland, Northern England, down into Wales and the West Country. A few wintry showers also possible across southeast England. Elsewhere, a widespread hard frost and also some icy stretches, so take care on your commute. And then through the day, we see further snow showers, particularly across eastern parts of England and parts of Wales, down into the West Country, Northern Ireland, and also northern Scotland. So warnings remain in force for snow and ice. Temperatures really struggling, not rising much above freezing for much of the UK, some places staying below. Another very cold start on Tuesday, further snow and ice in places. A weather system bringing an organised mix of rain, sleet and snow into parts of Northern Ireland and Scotland as we head through the day. Best of the sunshine across central, southeastern parts of England, and staying cold into Wednesday as well. Perhaps becoming a little less cold as we head towards Thursday, but also wetter.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Should we go to the front page of the Eye now, the Eye paper? Starmer plots course for a softer Brexit as leadership rivals circle. So Keir Starmer says the UK should move even closer to the EU single market. In starkest sign yet, he's ready to seek a radically softer Brexit deal with Brussels. This would be the biggest. I've been saying this for months. I've been saying it for years, actually, since before Starmer was even Prime Minister, that he would do his best to undo Brexit without a single vote being cast, Paul.
Yeah, he's like a blind man in a brothel at the moment. He's grabbing at anything, literally anything. The people that would like him to have delivered certain things over his tenure, however long that would have been, are probably encouraging him to do this right now, because this was quite clearly part of Keir Starmer's plan. I always say this about Keir Starmer. I don't know what he stands for. I'm not sure what he thinks he knows what he stands for. But one thing he definitely stands for is he never, ever wanted to leave the EU. And that has never changed. And do you know what? I don't have an issue with him having an issue with leaving the EU. I don't have any issue with that at all. The issue I have is with this clandestine approach where this is not what our plan is. No, you're not seeing it as we plan it. This is quite clearly what's going on here. And I think ultimately he believes this will garner him more popularity, and I think it'll be the end of him.
This is interesting because I think you're right, by the way, Paul. I think you're right, and I think it will hand Nigel Farage an absolute goal. They'll be waiting for them to undo Brexit, Lisa, because surely this is Nigel Farage's bread and butter. It's Brexit, right?
It's his territory. I mean, you know, Starmer comes on. Every time Starmer tries to come on to Farage's territory, he loses. He cannot, you know, and like I always say this, I come from the Red Wall areas. This is bread and butter stuff up there. You know, they decided, they voted, you know, it's a referendum, and it doesn't matter you know, what politicians want to do, the referendum should hold. And even though, you know, there's ideas that people regret it now, they won't regret it if Starmer puts it forward because he is disliked. He's extremely disliked.
And there's a good point, isn't it, Matthew? Because this is popular in the Labour Party. Cozying up to the EU is very, very popular. And what that means is that Starmer must be looking at the EU thinking, this could be the thing that stays, and this could be the unifying thing that brings Labour MPs back onto my side. I'll say we're going to cosy up more to the EU. I think he's going to use Brexit as a weapon in the next election if he's still Prime Minister.
It's the first time I've ever heard Brexit described as unifying either. Totally the
Labour Party. For the Labour Party.
No, yeah, quite possibly. I think that there's a couple of things at play here. There's a bit of a myth around Keir Starmer in the EU. I was in Parliament at the time, and we worked closely, or tried to work closely with Keir's team, who were impossible to work with at times. He was very late to the idea of a second referendum and didn't appear on stage with John McDonnell until the final weeks before an election, after this famous Saturday sit-in, where John Bercow was obviously overjoyed that we'd voted against another, I think we've got a customs union possibly. He chose to do that because it was political opportunism. This is now being replayed because Wes Streeting is obviously totally on manoeuvres and hinting at an idea of a customs union and closer relationships with the EU, flashing a bit of progressive leg, pretending that's what he is. You'll have the same. I think Andy Burnham has floated similar sorts of things. So I think it comes back to doesn't necessarily really believe anything, but is on his last legs when you look at the polls and anything else.
Do you know there is something important and interesting here? Is in 2019 there wasn't GB News, and now there is GB News. And Brexiteers, people who voted for Brexit in the Red Wall, watch GB News. And they like Nigel Farage. So I think, you know, Starmer, if he thinks it's going to unify anything, you know, what...
It will unify the right, I tell you that for sure, because anyone who is still sort of thinking about backing Nigel Farage, they'll look at him and go, actually, we need to back one party here. The same thing happened to Boris Johnson, if you remember, with Nigel previously in the Brexit Party. They had to end up backing one horse, otherwise the whole thing would have gone the other way. And this is the thing, Paul, is the case of Brexit is never made very positively. They're here saying that cozying up to the single market would be very good for Britain. It wouldn't. It would mean we'd have to get rid of all those great trade deals we've done, which, by all economists' accounts, will be far better than the trade we get from the EU. They'd be all gone.
Overturning a democratic vote in order to jump back in because it's your political will to do so would never be good for any country, ever. It's whether you voted for Brexit or not. Brexit happened. It's what 52% of the country in 2016 wanted. It eventually got over the line in 2020. Does anyone remember the politics from 18 and 19? It was disturbing. I was watching. I mean, you were watching. Nobody watched the Westminster Channel, but in 2018, 2019, I was on it like it was. Channel X.
Do you remember? Do you remember Clive Lewis hanging on to Bercow?
I do remember that. Listen, we'll have to leave the Brexit discussion there, but I've got an interesting story for you. Would the public rather have Jeremy Corbyn as Chancellor than Rachel Reeves? A new poll has revealed all. And that's next on Alex Armstrong Tonight, late edition.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News,
the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at some inside stories from The Telegraph. They're reporting the public would rather have, and I was saying, what was this poll earlier on? Who would make a better Chancellor, Rachel Reeves or Jeremy Corbyn? And the public have decided that they would prefer Jeremy Corbyn as Chancellor than Rachel Reeves. 51%. Who are these 51% of people? Said Ms Reeves was doing a bad job running the economy, with just 27% said she was doing a good job, giving her a net score of -24. There you have it, Jeremy Corbyn for Chancellor, according to some Telegraph readers, perhaps. They're also reporting... Actually, let me just ask you guys this. Who would you rather have, Lisa, Jeremy Corbyn or Rachel Reeves as Chancellor?
Oh, God.
You've got to pick one, no cop-outs.
Oh. Corbyn?
Corbyn, yeah, OK, yeah. Matthew?
Sorry, guys, you had your chance. We were there for you in 2019. No, you didn't
That's Corbyn.
I 100% want to see Corbyn as Chancellor.
Yeah.
I just think, for my position on this panel, it would just be gold.
Yeah.
Every week would produce something.
What would it be? What would be the number one policy?
Well, it's just...
It would be something like... free vegetables for people.
I think it was free. Do you know what? I could get behind free vegetables. I wouldn't be worried about free vegetables.
No, I wouldn't.
I'd be worried about his allies, actually.
It would be lovely. It would be a lovely budget of free vegetables.
A lovely
Unless you're working, yeah. Peter Jeffries here says Alex Abbott for Chancellor. It'll quicken Labour's demise into oblivion. There you go. There you go. Well, listen, another inside story here. Suspected shoplifters investigated by police have a 98% chance of avoiding prison, an analysis of statistics shows. Fewer than 12,000 convicted shoplifters were jailed in the year to June 2025, meaning those investigated had just a 2.2% chance of being sent to jail, according to the Home Office. Lisa, this is insane, isn't it? It goes back to the theme of this show tonight, which is justice in Britain is totally broken. It's been broken from before Labour came in, and it's even more broken now.
Yeah, and again, it's one of these things that's disintegrated over a long period of time, isn't it? You know, and especially something like shoplifting, it's seen as sort of low-key crime. You know, it's got no victim, so therefore, you know, it's not a priority.
Yeah, Matthew.
But my issue with that is, you know, having worked in shops in my past, is when you work in a shop and your employer is expecting you to stop shoplifters.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a victimless crime.
No, it certainly isn't. And actually, I think they legally tell you not to now, because they are well, they could be sued for that. Matthew?
I think it's a concern. It's all... I think there's two things. There's a lack of shame. People don't care. I think that's a part of societal breakdown that has been on the cards 20 years, I'd say. And I think the other part is... It's been legalised in many ways, because the threshold, I think by the Tories possibly, was it had to be over £200 worth of goods, where this still hits supermarkets in the pocket. They're going to want to continue making profits. We all get hit with the price rises, unfortunately. It's not victimless.
Yeah. Paul, very briefly, if you don't mind, 20 seconds.
The UK has been governed by its inability to manage its population increase, so therefore everything's made as a financial decision. We lack the fundamental basics in our country of decency now. It's the broken windows theory. If you allow people to thieve from shops, then who knows where it ends? And society breaks down as a result.
Yeah, it's been pretty nuts, hasn't it? Justice is definitely broken in this country. I just hope we can get a grip for all of our sakes. Let's run through those papers for you one more time, shall we? The Telegraph, Trump sets sights on Greenland. The Independent, we are not at war, US insists, as it claims control of Venezuela. The Metro, welcome to New York and have a nice stay. The I paper, Starmer plots course for a softer Brexit as leadership rivals circle. The Times, Trump issues warning to Venezuela's new leader. The Daily Mail, PM faces revolt by Labour's Maduro apologists. The Guardian, Trump warns of big price to pay if Caracas fails to toe line. The Mirror, Jesse's twins' agony. The Express, fears Starmer is plotting a full-blown Brexit. And The Sun, AJ's pledge to families of brothers. Listen, thank you all so much for joining me tonight. What a show it's been. It's been a sensational show. We've had massive titles, all of you here tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sure the craziness of 2026 will continue. I'll be back next weekend at the same time, 9 p.m. on Saturdays. See you then.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast, and it's staying cold over the next few days. Very cold tonight with widespread frost and ice and further snow in places as well. A cold northerly flow across the UK Arctic air, bringing in that bitter weather across much of the UK. For this evening, temperatures already below freezing for many of us. Heavy snow showers across northern parts of Scotland and Amber Met Office warning for snow here. We could see another 20 to 30 centimetres falling through the night into tomorrow morning. Elsewhere, icy stretches, wintry showers and temperatures falling down to -5, -6 in towns and cities, perhaps even down to -10 in one or two spots in the countryside. So widespread cold start to Monday morning. A difficult commute for those setting off across northern parts of Scotland with that amber warning in force. Heavy snowfall, some strong winds as well, drifting that snow around. The central belt brighter, but a cold, icy start. Wintry showers for Northern Ireland, Northern England, down into Wales and the West Country. A few wintry showers also possible across southeast England. Elsewhere, a widespread hard frost and also some icy stretches, so take care on your commute. And then through the day, we see further snow showers, particularly across eastern parts of England and parts